Members of Council, members of Senate, Chairperson of Senate, the Principal and Vice Chancellor, members of the Executive Management and Extended Management, members of the UNISA academic community, colleagues, our students, and ladies and gentlemen, Sanibonani, good afternoon, Molweni, Dimacheroni, Goeiemiddag, Dimatewan. It does give me great pleasure to welcome you to Professor K. Tsaurai's inaugural lecture. Let me take the opportunity to acknowledge Prof. M.T. Mohale, the Executive Dean of the College of Economic and Management Sciences, Professor R.T. Mpofu, the Deputy Dean of the College, Dr. Jethro Godi, who's the Chair of the Department of Finance, Risk Management, and Banking, the college leadership, his colleagues, friends, present here today, this afternoon. It also gives me great pleasure to also welcome and acknowledge Prof. Tsaurai's family in attendance. Ladies and gentlemen, I do take this opportunity to welcome you to the University of South Africa, the University of the Land. As I welcome you at a time when we were subjected to stringent COVID-19 pandemic regulations that have also made this inaugural lecture take a different shape altogether. We appreciate, though, that we have now the disaster regulations repealed, but that does not mean we should relax and lower our guard against this pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused havoc in the way we do things. The years 2021 and 2020 and 2021 will go down in history as the years which defined the new normal. Unfortunately, COVID also disrupted economies globally and placed in disarray our social systems, and lest we forget the loss of life in ways unimaginable across the world. We as UNISA, of course, we were not spared. We have lost staff and students, more importantly, members of our families and our friends. Of major concern with COVID-19 pandemic was the impact it has on our ability to deliver services to our students. We have, through our learning management systems, managed to deliver both the learning content and assessments in ways unimaginable. Our technology saved us and our students the extended academic years. Through these actions, though these actions have helped, it does not mean these efforts were without challenges. You all know that UNISA, being the longest existing dedicated and largest distance education institution in the world, which was founded in 1873. And today we can claim we are 149, and next year we will be 150 years, and we have celebrations planned around that. We do cater for a student population that is equivalent to 1/3 of all South African higher education institutions, and we constitute more than 90% of all students enrolled in distance learning programs. Historically, this university is perhaps the only university in South Africa to have provided all people with access to education, irrespective of race, color, or creed. Today, we also pride ourselves for having the first woman principal and vice chancellor in 149 years. This is indicative of our efforts to ensure that UNISA continues to be the transformative university in the service of humanity. As a comprehensive, open, distance, and e-learning institution, what we call CODEL, we are guided by the principles of lifelong learning, student-centeredness, innovation, and creativity. Because of CODEL, we contribute to the knowledge creation, advancement of humankind, and development of a critical citizenry to advance global sustainability. We do achieve these through our learner-centeredness approach, which provides for lifelong learning in a flexible learning environment through interactive learning materials, thereby increasing access into higher education for most of our disadvantaged learners. We also pride ourselves in the development and promotion of our own staff so that they can continue to support our students and communities around us. We are grateful that this inaugural lecture is taking place within the context of our renewed spirit, in the context of our revised UNISA 2030 strategy and our strategic plan. In some ways, Prof. Tsaurai's inaugural lecture has come at the right time. It is the time for the serious consideration of transformation ideals within the context of UNISA, our higher education sector, and South Africa as a whole. We are proud that today, UNISA continues to demonstrate the value of a strong cadre of professorship that is necessary to instill in our students critical thinking and analysis of the highest order. This is a very proud moment for every academic as it reflects one of our pinnacles of academic achievement. It gives us great pleasure that our rank of full professors is growing substantially, and we are of the view that such will also grow our research expertise in leaps and bounds in South Africa, our continent, and of course, the world. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of today's proceedings, Prof. Mogale will introduce Prof. Tsaurai and invite him to the podium. Dr. Godi will then follow Prof. Tsaurai with the response without any further announcements. I now invite Prof. Mogale to the podium. I thank you.
Vice-Chancellor and Principal of the University of South Africa, Professor Puleng Lengabula, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Strategy, Risk and Advisory Services, Professor Ndlovu, Acting Deputy Executive Dean of the College of Economic and Management Sciences, Professor Mrauzi, the Directors of School in the College, and Chairs of Departments, other leaderships within the student formation in UNISA, parents, and Professor Kinofua Tsaurai's relatives, distinguished guests, good day. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this special day in which Professor Kinofua Tsaurai presents his inaugural lecture in recognition of his promotion to full professorial rank. And so, as a college, we celebrate this event as we revel at the achievements of Professor Tsaurai over the past few years. Through this event, we bring in and motivate other academics within the college and the university to take leave from and to establish new collaborations that strengthen existing relationships within the teaching, learning, research, and engaged scholarship domains. The event represents a significant milestone in Professor Tsaurai's career, celebrating as it does his promotion to the rank of a full professorial appointment in UNISA. The College of Economic and Management Sciences look forward to this lecture as Professor Tsaurai apprises of his career developments and achievement thus far, updating us on his current and future research plans as he introduces us to the field of finance, risk management, and banking practices, and his specialized expertise to the academic audience, students, and wider community. Kinofua Tsaurai is a professor in the Department of Finance, Risk Management, and Banking at the University of South Africa. He has published on financial development, foreign direct investment, remittances, and human capital development. He has presented papers at both local and international conferences and has to date successfully supervised 12 doctoral students and 9 master's students He is widely published in several journals and conferences. He is a reviewer of a number of journals and examined master's and doctoral theses from 10 universities in and outside of South Africa. He is a chairperson of the Ethics Committee within the Department of Finance, Risk Management and Banking, a member of the College Ethics Committee, and a departmental representative in the College Committee on Research and Innovation. He is a department committee member on Higher Degrees Committee and a member of the Institutes of Financial Markets in South Africa. He holds a doctoral degree in management studies specializing in financial management from University of South Africa, a Master of Science in Banking and Financial Services, which he obtained in 2006 from the National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe, and a Bachelor of Commerce degree, which he obtained in 2003, honors in banking from the National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe. Prior to joining University of South Africa, Professor Tsaurai was a lecturer at CTI Education Group in South Africa, a lecturer at the National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe, a lecturer of Great Zimbabwe University in Zimbabwe. Before he joined the academia, Professor Tsaurai held a position of a financial analyst in the private sector, First Mutual Limited in Zimbabwe. Professor Tsaurai has been honored in several ways and has been recognized for his academic work in UNISA and in the College of Economic and Management Sciences, which resulted in receipt of the following awards. In 2012, he received the Principal's Award for Excellence in Research for the development researcher producing the most research output points during 2012, senior lecturer with the most output units over 5 years between 2010 and 2014, research recognition of the most productive developing researcher in the college during 2015, emerging researcher with the most research output points in 2017 within the college, KEMS Research and Innovation Award, which was awarded to him in 2019. It is therefore my supreme pleasure to welcome Professor Kunufua Tsaurai to the podium to deliver his inaugural address.
My name is Professor Kunufua Tsaurai. I'm the inaugural. Professor Puleng Lengambula, Principal and Vice Chancellor of the University of South Africa. Professor S.K. Lovu, Vice Principal of Strategy, Risk and Advisory Services. Professor M.T. Mohale, Executive Dean, College of Economic and Management Sciences. Professor Ngwenya, School Director, Economics and Financial Sciences. Dr. Jetro Godi, Chairperson of the Department of Finance, Risk Management and Banking. Senior academics, here present, colleagues, friends, and family, I welcome you. The topic for my inaugural lecture is Determinants of Agricultural Sector Growth in Upper Middle Income Countries. How relevant is financial development? Why I chose the topic on determinants of agricultural sector growth. Agricultural production helps to reduce poverty through income generation through farmers selling their produce, jobs and employment creation, facilitating or enabling self-sufficiency according to Rehman et al. 2016. World Bank 2022 report argued that agriculture can help reduce poverty, raise incomes, and improves food security for 80% of the world's poor who live in the rural areas and work mainly in farming. The same report says that healthy, sustainable, and inclusive agricultural sector is critical for achieving the millennium. The same report says that healthy, sustainable and inclusive agriculture sector is critical in achieving the Millennium Development Goals of ending extreme poverty, boosting shared prosperity, and feeding 9.7 billion people by 2050. Background of the study. Agriculture is one of the key economic sectors for any country because it provides food security for the nation, ensures that people grow their own food for consumption, eradicates poverty, especially in the rural and among most marginalized communities, according to Beckman et al. 2021. Abdullah 2002 argued that agriculture enhances economic growth and development through product contribution, market contribution, factor contribution, and foreign exchange contribution. Other scholars whose studies supported the contribution, other scholars whose studies supported that agriculture is a cornerstone for economic growth and development include Oji Okolo 2011, Olajile et al. 2012, among others. Consistent with Gilao et al. 2016, it is quite clear that the determinants of agricultural sector productivity and growth is of paramount importance if the responsible authorities are to effectively ensure maximum contribution of agriculture in the economy. Despite its huge and disputable positive contribution towards economic growth and development, empirical research that exclusively devoted its attention towards investigating the determinants of agricultural sector growth and development are scant. Without the knowledge on the determinants of agricultural sector growth, it is difficult to develop agricultural policies that helps to boost economic growth and end poverty. The few researchers who investigated the determinants of agricultural growth include Tepesky and Stanoska 2018, Nwachuk and Shisanya 2017, Paul et al. 2018, Reme et al. 2019, Ketema 2020, Pfister and Pozis 2015, Ado and Bello 2020, Kapai and Silis 2016, Shita et al. 2018, Ugesa 2015, Kaka et al. 2016, and Potelo et al. 2016. These empirical studies on a similar study had several methodological related weaknesses. Firstly, majority of them use time series data analysis, which are incapable of capturing the endogeneity problem associated with the agriculture sector growth function. Secondly, majority of the empirical researchers were narrow focused on investigating agriculture sector growth in a single country. Thirdly, most of these empirical researchers ignored the fact that agriculture sector growth and development can be influenced by its own leg. Fourthly, majority of them also used outdated data, which is no longer relevant to futuristic agriculture policy making. Fifthly, none of these existing empirical researchers on the determinants of agricultural sector growth focused on upper middle income countries as a unit of analysis, a weakness given a vast amount of agricultural activities occurring in this block of countries. Sixthly, none of these empirical studies on a similar subject matter investigated the impact of the complementarity between financial and human capital development on agricultural growth in upper middle income countries. This study is focused on filling these gaps. Contribution of the study. There are 5 ways in which this study contributes towards literature. First, this is the first study to the best of the author's knowledge to investigate the determinants of agricultural sector growth in upper middle income countries as a block. Secondly, this study is one of the few studies to consider the leg of agricultural sector in exploring the determinants of agricultural sector production. Thirdly, the study used the most recent data from 2005 to 2020. unlike other similar related empirical research on the subject matter. Fourthly, using the dynamic GMM approach, the study considered the endogeneity problem involved in the agricultural sector growth function. Fifthly, this is the first study to the author's best knowledge to investigate the impact of the complementarity between financial and human capital development on agricultural sector growth in upper middle income countries. Looking at the theoretical literature on the determinants of agricultural sector growth, the first variable which was considered was financial development. Its theoretical impact on agricultural sector growth is as follows. Financial development enhances agricultural sector growth in two ways, according to Tsaurai et al. 2019. Firstly, financial development increases savings, investments, and bank credit activities, thereby alleviating the financial constraints in the agricultural sector and enhancing agricultural sector output. Secondly, financial development allows easy provision of credit to the farming community, thereby boosting agricultural sector production. These theoretical rationales were also supported by Shabazz et al. 2013. So the expectation is financial development will have a positive impact on agricultural sector production. Coming to economic growth, on its impact on agricultural sector production, high economic growth enables the farming community to purchase more agricultural implements such as fertilizers, high quality seeds and pesticides, thereby overall promoting agricultural sector production, according to Shabazz et al. 2013. Trade openness, in line with Tsaurai et al. 2019, trade openness promotes economies of scale, specialization, technology usage, and capacity utilization, all of which enhances agricultural sector production. So the expectation is trade openness positively influence agricultural sector growth. Coming to exchange rate, when the local currency depreciates, it enables the local agricultural products to be more demanded in foreign countries. Appreciation of the local currency makes local agricultural products more expensive in other countries. This, according to Obiageli 2020, have far-reaching consequences on the quantity of agricultural sector output farmers are enticed to produce. Human capital development, according to Zaika and Grid in 2020, human capital development enhances agricultural sector production and productivity because a skilled farm worker can efficiently and effectively utilize land. This happens through their ability to be more innovative and then be more able to use technology in promoting the whole farming and agricultural sector activities. Population growth's influence on agricultural sector production. Increased population growth implies an increase in the demand for services and homes, thereby pushing the price of land higher and higher. This scenario tempts some farmers to sell their agricultural land to the home seekers, thereby overall negatively influencing agricultural sector production, consistent with Karim 2013. The impact of urbanization on agricultural sector growth, according to Raphael and Ukand 2015, urbanization has a deleterious effect on agricultural sector production because it converts more agricultural land towards urban land use. An increased number of youth migrates to urban areas, thereby negatively affecting the quantity of labor force, which would have ordinarily worked on the farms. The same study also noted that urbanization provides a ready market for the farmers, thereby enhancing general agricultural sector production. So in this case, urbanization is expected either to have a positive or a negative impact on agricultural sector growth. From the empirical literature point of view, there are several studies which investigated the influence or the determinants of agricultural sector growth. To begin with, there is Gilao et al. 2016, who used multiple regression analysis. The study found out that in the long run, factors such as the lag of agricultural sector growth, international trade, gross national expenditures, population, foreign debt, gross fixed capital formation, inflation, and real exchange rates were the factors that had an impact on the agricultural sector growth in Pakistan. Igwe and Esonunwe in Nigeria also used multiple regression analysis. Their study found out that total annual rainfall and total land area had a significant positive impact on agricultural sector growth in Nigeria. On the contrary, total population had a significant deleterious effect on the agricultural sector in Nigeria. Liu et al. 2020 used the GMM approach, used also South and Southeast Asian countries as a unit of analysis. Their study noted that technical efficiency, economic development, and agricultural imports had a negative influence on the agricultural sector. In contrast, human capital development, urbanization, and financial aid flow into agriculture were found to have had a positive impact on the agricultural sector in the South and Southeast Asian countries. Kaka et al. 2016, using Pakistan as a unit of analysis and the ARDL economic estimation approach, found out that the size of the cultivation area, agricultural credit, fertilizer consumption, and rainfall amount received are the factors which had an enhancing significant positive effect on agricultural sector growth and productivity in the long run in Pakistan. Using Ethiopia as a unit of analysis, UGESA 2015 found out that land labor ratio, usage of pesticides, household size, manure, and the usage of fertilizers impact on agricultural sector growth in Ethiopia was found to be positive and significant. Portello et al. 2016, using South Africa as a unit of analysis, noted that South Africa's economic growth had an enhancing effect on agricultural. Portello et al. 2016, using South Africa as a unit of analysis, found that South Africa's economic growth had an enhancing effect on agricultural exports. On the other hand, political stability's impact on agricultural sector growth was found to be negative. Also using South Africa as a unit of analysis, Kapai and Silas 2016 noted that poor roads, lack of marketing skills and information, poor market infrastructure, high transaction costs, poor management skills, and lack of agricultural implements are some of the factors which inhibited agricultural sector growth in South Africa. Shita et al. 2018, using Ethiopia as a unit of analysis, and also using ARDL as an economic, Shita et al. 2018 used ARDL estimation technique, found out that economic growth and fertilizer usage had a significant positive effect on agricultural sector growth, both in the short run and long run in Ethiopia. Size of the arable land had a significant enhancing effect on agriculture in the long run. Its impact on agriculture in the short run was found to be negative in Ethiopia. Pfister and Coppice 2015, using descriptive statistics approach, found out that two factors had a significant influence on agricultural sector growth in Saxton. Ado and Bello 2020, using Nigeria as a unit of analysis, noted that inflation had a deleterious effect on the Nigerian agricultural sector growth, real exchange rate and labor force were found to have enhanced agricultural sector growth in Nigeria. Using Pakistan as a unit of analysis, Rehman et al. 2019 noted that water availability had a deleterious effect on agricultural sector growth in Pakistan. Improved seed distribution, fertilizer consumption, and credit distribution had a significant positive impact on Pakistan's agricultural sector growth. Ketema in 2020, using ARDL approach, noted that drought had a significant impact on agricultural sector growth in Ethiopia in the long run. Rainfall, fertilizer input, import, trade openness, inflation had a significant positive influence on Ethiopia's agricultural sector growth. In the short run, labor force and fertilizer input import were found to have had a significant positive effect on agricultural sector growth in Ethiopia. Using Kenya as a unit of analysis, Nwachukwu and Shisanya 2017 noted that size of agricultural land, labor efficiency, and livelihood productivity has a significant positive effect on Kenya's agricultural sector growth. Paul et al. 2018, using time series analysis, noted that government funding in agricultural climate change and agricultural credit were found to have had a significant influence on Nigeria's agricultural sector growth. Lastly, Tepesik and Sivetanoska 2018, using descriptive statistics, noted that labor productivity and economic growth are the two main factors which were found to have an enhancing impact on Macedonia's agricultural sector growth. From Table 2, it is evident from the findings that the results from the empirical literature on the determinants of agricultural sector growth are mixed, divergent, and conflicting. In other words, the findings from the empirical research is an indication that the subject matter on the determinants of agricultural sector growth and development is far from being conclusive. There is no agreeable list of variables that determine the growth of the agricultural sector. Hence, this study attempted to add its voice to the discourse. On the research methodology description, in line with Liu et al. 2020 and other empirical studies done by Tepesik and Setanoska 2018, Paul et al. 2018, Nwachukwu and Shisanya 2017, Ketema 2020, Rehman et al. 2019, Ado and Bello 2020, Pfister and Kopsidis 2015, Shita et al. 2018, Kapai and Silas 2016, Potela et al. 2016, Ugesa 2015, and Kaka et al. 2016, among others. Equation 1 stands for the agricultural sector production. This equation 1 has got agricultural sector production as a dependent variable. On the explanatory variables, there is financial development, human capital development, economic growth, trade openness, population growth, and urbanization. Where agric, fin, HCD, growth, open, PG, and urban represents agricultural sector production, financial development, human capital development, economic growth, trade openness, population growth, and urbanization, respectively. Agricultural sector production, in brackets agric, is measured by employment in agriculture, brackets percentage of total employment, for the purposes of this study. Equation 2 economically transforms the general model specification of the agricultural sector production, where beta naught to beta 7 stands for the coefficients of the variables used in this study. They stand for the coefficients of financial development, human capital development, the combination of financial development and human capital development, economic growth, trade openness, exchange rate, population growth, and urbanization. Beta naught is an intercept. If the value of the coefficient is positive and significant, especially the coefficient of the complementary variable, the results would mean that the combination of financial development and human capital development enhances agricultural sector production in the upper middle income countries. If it is negative and significant, it means that the deleterious effect of the complementarity variable on agricultural sector production in upper middle income countries is huge and cannot be taken lightly. Fixed effects, fully modified ordinary least squares, random effects, and pooled ordinary least squares were used to estimate equation 2. Equation 3 introduces the fact that agricultural sector growth is influenced by its own leg. And this equation 3 was estimated using the dynamic GMM econometric. This equation 3 was estimated using the dynamic GMM econometric procedure technique. Going to data analysis, results presentation, and discussion. The study used the panel data ranging from 2005 to 2020. Going to data analysis, results presentation, and discussion. The study used the panel data ranging from 2005 to 2020 to investigate the determinants of agricultural sector growth in upper middle income countries. The list of upper middle income countries included in this study are Argentina, China, Czech Republic, Hong Kong, Turkey, Mexico, Peru, Thailand, South Africa, Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, India, Malaysia, Philippines, and Singapore. International databases from where the data for all the variables was obtained include World Bank Development Indicators, African Development Indicators, United Nations Development Program, and International Monetary Fund. Table 3 focuses on mean trend analysis. The mean trend analysis presented in Table 3 is for all the variables used in the current study during the period ranging from 2005 to 2020. Variables included in the mean trend analysis include agricultural sector growth, human capital development, trade openness, urbanization, financial development, economic growth, and population growth. According to Table 3 results, countries such as China, Indonesia, India, Peru, Philippines, Thailand, and Turkey are the countries whose mean agricultural sector growth were above the overall mean agricultural sector growth of 18.72% of total employment. The remaining upper middle income countries, which include South Africa, Singapore, Malaysia, Mexico, Hong Kong, Czech Republic, Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina, had their mean agricultural sector growth figures lower than the overall mean value of agricultural sector growth. Singapore, South Africa, Thailand, Philippines, India, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Czech Republic, China, and Argentina are outliers because their mean values of agricultural sector growth far much deviated from the overall mean agricultural sector growth. With regards to financial sector development, the mean values are spread in a very mixed fashion such that there is no single country whose mean financial development value is closer to the overall mean financial development value of 74.90% of GDP. In other words, all the countries studied are outliers in as far as financial development is concerned. Argentina, Czech Republic, Hong Kong, Mexico, Malaysia, Turkey, and Singapore's mean human capital development values exceeded the overall mean human capital development index value of 0.76. Countries such as Czech Republic, Hong Kong, and Singapore are clearly outliers, as their mean human capital development were far away from the overall mean human capital development index of 0.76. Regarding trade openness, Czech Republic, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore are the only upper middle income countries studied whose mean trade openness values exceeded the overall mean trade openness value of 105.55% of GDP. Apart from Thailand, all the upper middle income countries studied appears to be outliers because their mean trade openness value deviated from the overall mean trade openness by a wider margin. Among the upper middle income countries studied, only Czech Republic, Hong Kong, and Singapore had their mean GDP per capita values greater than the overall mean GDP per capita value of 12,121.26. Only Brazil, Mexico, Malaysia, and Turkey are not outliers in as far as economic growth mean values are concerned. This is because their mean values of GDP per capita did not deviate too much from the overall mean economic growth value. Regarding population growth, Colombia, Indonesia, India, Mexico, Malaysia, Philippines, Turkey, and Singapore, including South Africa, are the upper middle income countries studied whose mean population growth exceeded the overall mean population growth of 1.12%. Notable upper middle income countries which were outliers appears to be China, Czech Republic, Hong Kong, Thailand, and Singapore, because their mean population growth deviated from the overall mean value of 1.12% by a very wide margin. Upper middle income countries such as China, Indonesia, India, Philippines, Thailand, and South Africa's mean urbanization rates were lower than the overall mean urbanization rate of 69.93% of total population. Outliers appears to include Argentina, Brazil, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, India, Philippines, Thailand, and Singapore, if the same reasoning used earlier on also applies here. Correlation analysis. Table 4 presents the results from correlation analysis. A significant negative relationship was observed between the following variables. 1, agricultural sector growth and financial development. 2, agricultural sector growth and human capital development. 3, agricultural sector growth and economic growth. 4, agricultural sector growth and trade openness. 5, agricultural sector growth and urbanization. Moreover, a non-significant negative relationship between agricultural sector growth and the population growth was also detected. To a large extent, these correlation results contradict theoretical literature by authors such as Raphael and Ukant 2015, Karim 2013, Zaika and Gridin 2020, and Shabas et al. 2013. The contradiction provided a further basis upon which this study was carried out. Consistent with Aye and Edoja 2017, multicollinearity problem, in brackets, correlation of 70% and above, exists in 5 different correlations in this study. The first one being between human capital development and agricultural sector growth. Second one being between urbanization and agricultural sector growth. Thirdly, between economic growth and human capital development. Fourthly, between human capital development and urbanization. Lastly, between trade openness and economic growth. The multicollinearity problem was effectively dealt with by converting all the data sets into natural logarithms before using it for main data analysis, consistent with Aye and Edoja 2017. Table 5 presents the results of descriptive statistics. According to Table 5, apart from agricultural sector growth, human capital development, and population growth. The range for all other variables used in this study exceed 100, an indication that extreme values exist. On the other hand, trade openness and economic growth standard deviation figures indicates that there exist abnormal values in these two variables. Except for urbanization variable, the data for the remaining variables is skewed to the right, an indication that the data for the variables under study is not normally distributed. The probability of the Jagdberg criterion is 0 in all the variables used in this study except for human capital development. Such results again provide evidence that the data used in this study is not normally distributed. The problems of extreme values and abnormally distributed data is effectively resolved by an earlier pronounced decision to first convert all the data into natural logarithms before main data analysis, in line with Aye and Edoja 2017. Table 6 presents results for panel unit root tests. 4 methods were used to estimate the stability of the data. And these include augmented Dick-Fuller, Fisher chi-square, Levine et al. 2002, Philip Perron chi-square test, and M et al. 2003. The use of these 4 methods is consistent with other empirical research done by The use of these 4 methods is consistent with other empirical research done by Aye and Edoja 2017 and Tembo 2018. If you look at Table 6 results on panel unit root tests, you notice that the panel unit root test results at level are mixed. At first difference, all the variables studied were found to be integrated of order 1, hence clearing way for panel co-integration tests, according to Odhiambo 2021. Panel co-integration test results are presented in Table 7. Panel co-integration test is done to establish if a long-run relationship exists among all the variables used in the study. Aye and Edoja 2017 noted that main data analysis cannot proceed if there is no long-run relationship among the variables employed in the study. This study used Johansen-Fisher panel co-integration tests, whose results are presented in Table 7. If you look at Table 7 results, it shows that a long-run relationship exists among the variables used. This is supported by evidence in Table 7, which shows that 5 co-integrating vectors were observed among the variables used in this study. Put differently, the study rejected a null hypothesis which says that a co-integrating relationship does not exist among the variables used in the study. Table 8 presented the main panel data analysis results, which include the results for the dynamic GMM, the results for fixed effects, random effects, and pooled ordinary least square econometric estimation techniques. According to Table 8, the dynamic GMM approach shows that agriculture sector growth was positively and significantly influenced by its own leg, consistent with a study done by Gilao et al. 2016 using multi-regression analysis in the case of Pakistan. A non-significant positive relationship running from financial development towards agricultural sector production was observed in upper middle income countries under the dynamic GMM methodology. Such results are consistent with Zakaria et al. 2019, whose study noted that financial development increases savings, investments, and bank credit activities, thereby alleviating the financial constraints in the agricultural sector and enhancing agricultural sector output. Fixed effects and pooled OLS observed that financial development had a significant negative impact on agricultural sector production, whilst random effects noted the existence of a non-significant negative relationship running from financial development towards agricultural sector growth. These results contradict the available theoretical literature proffered by Zakaria et al. 2019. Across all the 4-panel econometric estimation techniques used, human capital development was found to have had a significant deleterious effect on agricultural sector production, in line with the reasoning that educated people shun away from the physical, laborious activities associated with agriculture. Such results contradict the literature which says that human capital development enhances agricultural sector production and productivity because a skilled farm worker can efficiently and effectively utilize land, according to Zaika and Gridin 2020. The complementarity between financial development and human capital development was found to have had a non-significant positive influence on agricultural sector production across all the 4-panel econometric estimation methods. The results show that the availability of financial assistance to the farmers, coupled with human capital development, could improve agricultural sector production, though not in a significant manner. These results resonate with Zaika and Grid in 2020, whose study mentioned that human capital development enhances agricultural sector production and productivity because a skilled farm worker can efficiently and effectively utilize land, especially given the availability of finance that enhances innovation and the use of technology. The dynamic GMM and pooled OLS produced results which shows a significant negative relationship running from economic growth towards agricultural sector production. On the other hand, fixed and random effects shows that economic growth had a non-significant deleterious effect on agricultural sector production. These results are in stark contrast to the available literature advanced by Shabas et al. 2013, which says that high economic growth enables the farming community to purchase more agricultural implements such as fertilizers, high-quality seeds, and pesticides, thereby overall promoting agricultural sector production. A non-significant positive impact of trade openness on agricultural sector production was observed under the dynamic GMM approach, which the remaining 3-panel data analysis methods, fixed effects, pooled OLS, random effects, shows a significant positive relationship running from trade openness towards agricultural sector growth. The results are in line with Zakaria et al. 2019, whose study noted that trade openness promotes economies of scale, specialization, technology use, and the capacity utilization of the farm or agricultural land. Fixed and random effects show that population growth had a significant enhancing effect on agricultural sector growth in upper middle income countries in support of Karim 2013, whose study observed that the increase in population is most likely to provide more farm laborers, all factors remaining constant. A deleterious impact of population growth on agricultural sector production was noted under the dynamic GMM and pooled OLS approaches. The results are consistent with Karim 2013, whose study argued that increased population growth implies an increase in the demand for services and homes, thereby pushing the price of land higher and higher. The scenario tempts some farmers to sell their agricultural land to the home seekers, thereby overall negatively influencing agricultural sector production. Fixed effects produce results which show that urbanization's impact on agricultural sector production was positive and significant. The dynamic GMM pooled OLS and the random effects show a non-significant positive relationship running from urbanization towards agricultural sector production. These results confirm Raphael and Ukand 2015's argument that urbanization provides a ready market for the farmers, thereby enhancing general agricultural sector production. In conclusion, the study investigated the determinants of agricultural sector growth in upper middle income countries using panel data analysis methods with data ranging from 2005 to 2020. The impact of the complementarity between financial and human capital development on agricultural sector growth was also explored in the case of upper middle income countries. Agricultural sector growth was positively and significantly influenced by its own leg under the dynamic GMM approach. Fixed effects show that financial development had a significant deleterious impact on agricultural sector growth, while it's a significant positive relationship running from financial development towards agricultural sector growth was observed under the pooled ordinary least squares. The dynamic GMM and the pooled OLLS indicates that economic growth's influence on agricultural sector growth was significantly negative. Fixed effects, random effects, and pooled OLLS show that trade openness influence on agricultural sector growth was found to be significantly positive. Fixed and random effects noted that population growth had a significant positive impact on agricultural sector growth, while its population growth's influence on agricultural sector growth was observed to be significantly deleterious. Consistent with the majority of the available literature, the study observed that the impact of urbanization on agricultural sector growth was significantly positive. Although the results are mixed, the study urges responsible authorities in upper middle income countries to enact and implement financial development, trade openness, population increase, and urbanization enhancement policies to boost agricultural sector production. Further studies can investigate the other different channels through which financial development can enhance agricultural sector growth in upper middle income countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Kunofiwa Tsaurai, for your insightful lecture. Colleagues, guests, family of Prof. Tsaurai, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Jethro Godi. I'm the COD of the Department of Finance, Risk Management and Banking, and I'll be the respondent to this inaugural lecture. The presentation covered a couple of significant issues. My first response will focus on the United Nations argument on agriculture influence on economic growth. A report by the United Nations 2017 states that agriculture is one of the most important sectors that anchor economic growth and development in developing countries, Africa and low-income countries. The paper went on to say that agriculture enhances economic growth through providing employment to the poor, poverty reduction as the food from agriculture feeds the poor, provides income to rural areas as they can sell the agriculture produce and provide inputs to the industry. Therefore, promoting industrialization in the economy as a whole. Generates foreign currency when the farm produce is sold to international agricultural markets, and it reduces demand for foreign currency to buy food from other countries. The theoretical and empirical literature is also unanimous on the positive that agriculture plays in the economy. Therefore, there is consensus in the literature and in support of the United Nations 2017 argument. The second point that I want to touch on, ladies and gentlemen, it's on the theoretical literature view on agricultural influence on economic growth. According to Hassi et al. 2013, an increase in agricultural productivity ensures that there is a sufficient market of agricultural goods both locally and in international markets. When the agricultural goods are sold in international markets, it increases foreign currency inflow into the country. Domestic market agricultural products sufficiently ensures that people access food at cheaper prices, hence contributing to poverty and hunger reduction. Consistent with John and Mello 1961, the positive contribution towards the economy is more pronounced during the early stages of growth, not only through providing employment and food, but also through helping to establish consumption and production linkages in the economy. An increase in agricultural productivity increases income levels amongst rural households, which in turn pushes up demand for industrial products produced locally. This is according to Tsaurai et al. 2006, I beg your pardon. On the other hand, an increase in agricultural productivity enhances the sector's ability to supply more inputs to the sectors of economy, hence creating jobs not only for the agricultural sector but for the entire economy as a whole. Mozumba 2012 also noted that agricultural productivity directly contributes towards growth domestic products of the country. On the other hand, authors such as Shabazz et al. 2013 as well as Zakaria et al. 2019 argued that agriculture's influence on economic growth on its own is limited. The provision of finance and or removal of credit access constraints to the farmers is a critical step towards ensuring that agriculture plays a significant positive role in the economy. Chisasa 2014, whose study focused on the South African market, concurred with this argument. The third point that I want to focus on is the importance of financial development on growth sector. What is its relevance? According to Zakaria et al. 2019, financial development's positive influence on agricultural productivity happens through its ability to facilitate credit access to farmers at a low cost. The same study argued that the financial sector mobilizes savings, increases credit availability to the farmers, and investments into the agricultural sector, hence removing financial constraints, which are normally the impediments to successful agricultural production. Shaba et al. 2018 argued that financial development avails the necessary funding needed by farmers to enhance the productivity of the agricultural sector in any country. Smallholder farmers can purchase critical farm implements such as fertilizers, seeds, agrochemicals if credit is available to them by the financial sector. And now I'll move on to the significance of the topic presented this evening. Although it is clear that both United Nations 2017's theoretical and empirical literature that agriculture sector growth enhances economic growth. Agriculture production enhances policies which increases economic growth can only be crafted if the determinants of agricultural sector growth are known and can be quantified. The poverty reduction policies anchored on agricultural sector productivity and the growth can easily be developed if the determinants of agricultural sector growth are known. The financial sector development policies aimed at spurring agricultural sector growth can easily be developed using the results of the study presented. The government and other relevant policy-making authority can use the findings of the study to craft financial development anchored agricultural sector growth policies that will help to reduce poverty, income inequality, as well as unemployment. Colleagues, let me take this opportunity to thank Prof. Tsaurai on this lecture. I believe that this is a very important topic to all of us, and we need to keep engaging on it until we can get it right, especially in our continent, Africa. And I believe that all stakeholders should join forces and eradicate poverty through agricultural activities. In conclusion, let me thank everyone who made this lecture a great success. Prof. Tsaurai, I wish you all the very best going forward. Stay humble, stay focused, and be blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Members of Council, members of Senate, Madam Principal and Vice Chancellor, members of our academic community, students, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the University Council, Senate, and the leadership of the university, please join me in officially welcoming Prof. K. Tsaurai to the ranks of full professor at the University of South Africa. Prof. Tsaurai, thank you for the complex, instructive, and provocative lecture. It comes at an opportune time as we are engaged in the curricular deliberations and transformation. We as UNISA pride ourselves as the African university shaping futures in the service of humanity. We are pleased to have you amongst our UNISA professors. As a university, we have embarked on a process, deliberate efforts to focus on 10 niche areas, and these are resource sustainability and energy research, marine and water resource management, natural sciences focusing on biotechnology studies, government management interfaces and reporting systems, automotive, energy, the fourth industrial revolution and digitization, health studies and medicine, feminist, womanist, Mosadi theorizations, and lastly, student support and co-curricular activities. As professor, we are relying on you and your team to ensure that we take these niche areas to new heights. One, on behalf of the university management and our Senate, I congratulate you on having achieved this academic milestone. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this afternoon's proceedings. Considering that we are doing this lecture online, I am sure you have planned for the celebrations of this day wherever you are. Please be safe. Thank you.